My name's Adam, y'all, and I run the brahwegotthis channel here, and I do a lot of ESO content and MMORPG content. And so today, for the returning players coming into the High Isle expansion for ESO, I want to make sure that I help you feel at home and help you ease into all the stuff that you have missed in the last couple of years. I want to give a shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. Thank you so much. I'll have more on that at the end of the video, as well as my website and Twitch link and everything like that. And I do want to mention as well, we are streaming at least one time a week on YouTube right now to see if we're going to full-time stream on YouTube. So definitely check out those streams. Definitely check out the memberships and the super thanks as well. But let's go ahead and jump into this video. So what I'm going to be doing for this video is I'm actually going to be starting at Greymoor, because Greymoor is when I started making content consistently all the way through. I started playing again throughout the Elsewhere expansion, and I obviously played through some of the Somerset expansion, but I just didn't play enough, I think, in the Somerset or Elsewhere expansion to really give you guys a good grasp on what's going on. Obviously, with the Elsewhere expansion, you got the Necromancer class. Somerset expansion, you got jewelry crafting, the Sigic Order, and Morrowind was the Warden and a few other things as well. But starting with the Greymoor expansion, there were some things that really changed the game. And so we're going to start there. So I'm going to talk about the things that you have missed, some of the big systems and things that I think that you might need to know as you're coming back into ESO. So with Greymoor, what they did is they introduced a new system called Antiquities. Antiquities are a sort of Indiana Jones-like archaeology where you go and dig up lost relics. These can be gold, this can be motifs, this can be lore items, these can be things you put in your house. You could even get a mount in Greymoor. Some of the biggest things you can get though are items called mythics. Mythic items are a new item type that they introduced in Greymoor, and these have like an orange, hue or outline to them on your inventory. And these are very powerful. These are one-piece items that you can only have one mythic at a time. So they're essentially, I guess, like legendaries in WoW, I think. Mythics are something that give you crazy effects, and they've introduced some really powerful ones over the last couple years. The Ring of the Pale Order, the Ring of the Wild Hunt. They've introduced some for PvP. I'm not really too familiar with those, but I know there's been some really good ones for PvP. These are very important, and ever since Greymoor, every expansion and DLC, they've introduced more antiquities and more mythics. And so this is a system that a lot of people like, and I've got plenty of guides on the website and in the YouTube channel that can help you out with this system, but that is a big thing that Greymoor introduced. Also with Greymoor, they changed the vampire skill line because it was about vampires, but with doing that, they sort of just heavily nerfed the vampire line. Vampires really aren't used too much in PvE anymore. They used to be like every PvE build was vampiric builds, like you were vampire stage 1 or 2, right? Now vampire builds are just not really that big in PvE. I think they're still pretty good in PvP, but again, I don't do PvP. So I just want to let you know that if you came back and you're like, why is my build not running vampire anymore? Well, it's because they kind of got nerfed. And then one of the other things in Greymoor is in the Markarth DLC in the Q4 release, they released a new solo arena called Vatterstern Hollows. This is essentially like Maelstrom Arena, but it's different. It has amazing weapons like Maelstrom Arena, and some of these weapons are best in slot for certain builds. So highly recommend going to check that out. There's also some really cool rewards you can get for doing it on harder difficulty, obviously, but that is a big thing Markarth released. Another thing that they also updated is you no longer have to do Maelstrom Arena on Vet anymore to get the weapons. Same with Vatterstern Hollows, obviously. So you can do them on normal and get the Maelstrom weapons. That's something that people were really relieved by. Some people were really pissed about. So if you haven't played since then, that's something you can do now. You don't have to be afraid of Maelstrom Arena anymore. So the other thing that Greymoor introduced towards the Q4 was a quality of life update for the base game, and that was the item set collection system. The item set collection system is essentially a sticker book or a collection system like Destiny 2 has, where when you get an item piece or an item set or a weapon, it goes into the sticker book and you have it forever, and you can recraft or reconstruct that item anytime you want. So for instance, if you collect a Mother Sorrow Inferno staff from Deshawn, you can just reconstruct that once it binds to your account on any of your characters, right? But the catch is here is that in order to reconstruct these items, you've got to be able to have certain traits researched. So if you want to have a Nirnholm Mother's Sorrow staff, you've got to have the Nirnholm trait researched on that character to be able to do that. Also, the more items that you collect in an item set, the lower the transmute crystal cost goes down. So it starts out, I believe, at like 75 per piece, but if you collect every item in the item set. So if you collect every Mother Sorrow piece, you'll be able to craft a Mother Sorrow Inferno staff, whatever trait you want. Essentially, you will be able to do that for 25 transmute crystals, which is fantastic. It helps you be able to craft the things that you need, but you got to collect the other ones as well to bring that cost down. The other thing too is that if you're like level 40, it still goes in your sticker book and it can be crafted at CP 160. It's just whatever your level is, it will craft it at those levels essentially. Now let's move on to Blackwood. Blackwood introduced the companions. We have 2 new companions. That was Miri and Bastion. And these are essentially just PvE companions. They fight with you, they heal, they tank, and sometimes they can be very useful. I personally don't like companions that much, but I do have a companions guide if you need to know a little bit of the basics. But they introduced that with Blackwood. Another thing they introduced was Oblivion portals. These are just public incursions that are in Blackwood and in the Deadlands. The next thing in Blackwood that they introduced was at the beginning of the year, the champion point overhaul. So they basically changed the whole champion system. They used to have 3 trees per color, but now they have 1 tree per color, so blue, red, and green. And now you have to slot champion point passive to get some of the abilities. So some of them are just going to give you abilities no matter what, but there's now only 4 slottable stars that you can have in each color that give you those effects. So for instance, you can't have Thaumaturge, Biting Aura, and you know, all the damage things plus like all the healing things that you see in the blue tree. You can only have 4 slottable stars. Some of them though, if it does not say add to champion point bar, will give you the effect no matter what. This is a huge change, and I do have a guide on that as well. So I just wanted to mention that to you all. The next 2 things, the next 2 ones are really big that they added at the end of the year was the Armory System. The Armory System is essentially a loadout table. This is a free furnishing in the Crown Store that allows you to save your loadouts, which is something a lot of people have wanted for so long. If I wanted to make a Dragonite tank, a Dragonite healer, and a Dragonite Magicka DPS, I can do that now. Because what the Armory System does is it allows you to go to the table and it saves your loadout. So if I'm a Dragonite tank, I can save my champion points, my armor sets, my skills, my attributes, my passives, literally everything. And the Mundus Stone is actually going to be able to be saved in the High Isle expansion, which we'll get into in a second. But with that, I can save literally all that stuff. And all I got to do is press the save button, and then I can go to the next empty template and I can start building out a Magicka DPS. I can put all new armor on, all new skill points, all new champion points, all of that, right? Then I can save that. And literally at the click of a button, you can switch between a Dragonite tank and a Dragonite Magicka DPS. It's something that is so good for the quality of life. It allows you just to switch on the fly. And then the other thing that Blackwood introduced was Smart RNG. So this goes with the item set collection system from Greymoor, essentially. So Smart RNG allows the game to see what items you don't have in an item collection system, and it gives you an item that you don't have. So if you're trying to collect the Mother Sorrow full, set, if you just keep running world bosses, public dungeons, you'll eventually get every single item set because it'll give you a guaranteed drop for any item that you do not have collected until your item set collection is filled up, which is a crazy update that they gave us because it's just been something that's been really good for farming, things that you need. Everyone's always wanted that Burning Spellweave staff. Everyone's always wanted that Mother Sorrow staff, right? And now you can finally get it by just farming a little bit more. And now we're gonna move on to High Isle. Okay, High Isle introduced a little bit less of systems in a way. And so if you are not knowing what you're doing in High Isle, the biggest thing they are introducing is a card game in game. So it's like Gwent essentially, where it's a deck builder, and that is the big feature of High Isle is a card game, Tales of Tribute. And so I know a lot of people haven't been that excited about this, but for someone who likes card games, I was really excited about this. There's going to be ranked ladders with it, there's PvE with it, and obviously PvP ranked ladders, like I said. But they're doing that. They are also introducing new companions as well, 2 more. And in the Armory System, you can now save your Mundus Stone as well, which is a big update. And that's all I really have for High Isle right now, because we still have 1 more dungeon DLC and we have 1 more mini DLC that's coming out this year with High Isle. So there's going to be some other changes they add, because that's what they always do. And if you're not familiar with like their structure, they that's what they usually do. They have a 2 dungeon DLCs, a mini DLC, and an expansion in a year. And each of those dungeon DLCs and mini expansions always have like quality of life updates usually, or little changes. And so that's something that they do for that. But like I said, thank you again to my patrons. I really do appreciate you. You can get early access to videos, vlogs, and much more from becoming a patron. Check all that out in the description, plus our website, brahwegotthis.com. If you need help, check out these videos up in the cards. It will help you get started here in ESO, and check out the other videos in the channel as well. But I just appreciate you all being here. I hope this helps you returning players out, and I'll see you guys later. Just remember, have faith, be great, and I'll see you on ESO.